Hello everyone, welcome to Cobalt Academia's Hacking How-To video series. I'm Busra, aka RU100, an offensive security researcher and a pentest architect at Cobalt.io. With Hacking How-To videos, I will show you how to exploit vulnerabilities that we encounter every day during pentests. In this specific video, I will show you how to exploit SSRF, aka Server Side Request Forgery vulnerability, by using different attack scenarios. If you're ready, let's jump in.
Hi everyone, in this video I will show you how to exploit SSRF vulnerability on a hack-the-box machine called Player. This machine specifically uses the exploit for FFmpeg SSRF vulnerability, and I already done some basic enumeration on the bug, so let's jump in. After some basic enumeration, I realized that there is this index.php file under this path. Let me remove this. On this index.php file, there is a media upload area. So I realized that it only allows me to upload AVI files. And in order to upload these, I found a web page which gives me the valid AVI files. So I just uploaded the file, dropped that AVI, I said submit, and it redirects me to a page which allows me to download the file that's uploaded. I'm just going to buffed media in a new tab, and I allow it to download the file. I'm going to the downloads directory, and this is the file which I downloaded, and I'm gonna investigate it with EXIF tool, and it's given me the video codec as FMP4. And when you search online for FMP4, which stands for FFmpeg, there is an SSRF LFI vulnerability. So I already found the payloads regarding this exploit. There's a really cool GitHub repository about it. You can also check other websites who shares the exploit regarding this vulnerability. And I just used this Python script to read internal files. So I'm going back to the directory where I hold this Python script, which is this. It requires Python 3. Then I need to write the file. You can also see it in the GitHub repository. The writer also described it in here. You need to write it with the syntax. Of course, just to see if it's working, I want to see etc passvd file, and I would like to write the file name as test.avi. The file is in here. I'm gonna upload it, and we'll see if it will give me etc passvd file content here. So I'm going back to the AVI file directory, which was in home, which was in here. I uploaded the file. Again, I'm going to that and buffed media. It's allowing me to download, but I'm gonna just open it with my media player. When I start it, it's given me the etc passvd content, which is super cool. From there, you can see any internal files, and since I'm not going to solve the CTF, just wanted to show you how to exploit SSRF vulnerability and what you can do with it. This is a known exploit, FFmpeg. SSRF vulnerabilities also includes LFI vulnerability. You can read internal files, and from there you can see some configuration files, which will probably give you the password for the web page. I think it's really cool. I wanted to show you an SSRF video for Cobalt Academia. Hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next video. Hi everyone, in this video I will show you how to exploit SSRF, aka Server Side Request Forgery vulnerability, on a hack-the-box machine called Kotarak. So I already did the enumeration, and I realized that there is a port open on the machine which is 60K. So let's jump in directly. And this is our web page for the port 60K. So it's the web page says web hosting private browser, surf the web anonymously. So I will probably need to write my IP address in here. So in the first step, what I want to do is I will start a simple HTTP server on port 8000, and I will write my IP address in here for the port 8000. When I submit this, it's just given me the directory listing for the current working directory for this HTTP server. So that's nice. That's the foothold for our SSRF vulnerability. I'm just stopping this one, clearing the page, going back there, burp is on. What I'm gonna do in here is that I'm gonna play with this part. So I'm going back to burp, intercepting this request, sending this to repeater, and I want to play with this part, the URL part, the path, to see if I can exploit this to see internal files on the server. So I will try basic payloads. The first one that I'm generally using is this one, etc passwd, if I can read the files internally. And then it's given me this error message, try harder. You can see this in you can see this in real-time pen tests, probably because WAF is blocking you, or there's a filter, but this is a customized error message by saying try harder. Since this is a CTF, normally you would probably see a 403 error message or something. But from there, I will try to see which keyword is actually blacklisted. So I'm deleting this part with only file and slashes, and it still says try harder. I'm deleting the slashes, and I'm only keeping the keyword file, deleting the letter E, and it's not giving me the error message anymore. That means the keyword file is actually blacklisted. What I can try is I can change the lowercase, uppercase characters. I can write another file keyword inside if it's deleting the word, but nothing is happening. It's still there. So I just give up on this payload and I will write another one, which is the next option that I always use. I will write the localhost IP address and then a port number that I already know, which is 60K, and it's working. It's given me the source code of this HTTP page that I was working on. So that's cool. From there, I want to see if I can do port scanning for the ports that are not open to me externally, but they are running internally. For that purpose, I will use a tool called vfuzz to fuzz this port. So I'm going to my shell. I will fire up two pages, two terminals to show you how to use vfuzz, and I'm using advanced help option with less to see all options here. And let's see what we can have. So I'm generally using -c parameter, -c option to see everything, every output with colors. It's so easy to read in this way. And the next thing I'm checking out is the payload, which will be here is a range for all ports. So let's start writing the comment -c for range -c, payload -c, sorry, and the range will be between all port numbers. And then I'm writing my URL, what was it, 10, 10, 10, 55 for the port 60K. The page was called url.php. The parameter was path. Then from there, I wrote my payload by saying the localhost. And then I want to fuzz the port numbers. When I started, I immediately cut it, stop it, because as you can see, there are so many output happening in here for the line value 2L. I believe that it is false positive and I don't want to see all of these values. As you can see, there are different values like 4L, and it's giving me the value 22, which can be SSH for port scanning, which makes sense. So I want to exclude 2L for line numbers, and we can just see how we can use it. is that hide responses with the specified call lines, which is my thing, lines, and the second one, HL. So I'm going back there. I'm writing another comment for it. Before the URL, I'm generally writing it there, minus minus HL, which equals 2. So from there, I'm seeing the values as 22, 90, and let's go back to burp, and instead of 60K, I'm writing 22 now, which gives me the banner message for SSH. That's great. That means we are getting the internal port scan output here. Let's write 90, which gives me another web page says under construction. Let's go with 110, and nothing to see here. If you try all of them, and when you stop at 888, you will see that there is another web page here. I generally render it to see how it looks. And it's given me the directory traversal on this port, on this web page, and I see this file backup, and the size looks promising, and I'm checking out for it, backup. And as you can see, the href, the URL for it is this, with the parameter doc. I'm copying it and writing it here. When I send it there, it's given me username password for Tomcat. So in this way, what we did with exploiting this SSRF vulnerability is that we port scanned this host for internal ports that are running internally, and then we realized that there's this port 888, which is a web page that port is not opened externally, and then I directory listing is possible there, and from there I realized there's a file called backup, and I read this internal file, which gives me the username password for Tomcat. From there, you can log in, and you will realize that you can just upload some files to get a shell, reverse shell from the machine. So that was a cool exercise. It's from Hack the Box, the machine called Kotarak. Hope you enjoyed it. Let's see you in the next video. Hi everyone, today I will show you how to exploit an SSRF vulnerability by combining SQL injection on a VulnHub machine called 6 days. I already did basic enumeration, and let's jump in. There is port 80 on this machine, and when I go to this web page, this is showing me an intrusion prevention system. There is a apply your promo code here, input area, and I intercepted the request and send it to burp. I see that there is image.php file with source parameter, which sends us to an external URL. I want to see the source code first. We see that there is image.php file, and also there's another PHP file here, check promo.php. So since there is this source parameter with an external URL, I immediately want to try SSRF vulnerabilities here. I sent the request to repeater, and I will modify this source URL. While we are trying SSRF vulnerabilities, I'm generally checking for etc passvd, and then file etc passvd basic SSRF payloads. Then I'm checking for localhost and all these kind of payloads. For the sake of simplicity, I will just try etc passvd as the first example, and it immediately gives me the content of etc passvd file. That means I can see the internal files using source parameter in here. So from there, since I know that there is another file called checkpromo.php, I like to see the content of the file. Okay, deleting this and say checkpromo.php. When I try to see, okay, I see the content of this file in here. It shows me the MySQL connection, and I realize that for promo codes, there is no input validation happening here in this SQL query. So I'm thinking maybe I can turn this into SQL injection with promo codes parameter. So I'm copying this parameter and sending a single code here. But it says malicious request blocked. When I encode this, it's still blocked. And when I double encode this, it doesn't give me an error anymore. So what I'm thinking is that I'd like to exploit this vulnerability, but there are some restrictions. So since there's an SSRF vulnerability also, I'm going to combine SSRF plus SQL injection vulnerability to exploit this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see the internal port for the web application. And since this is Apache 2.2, I'd like to see the default configuration file Apache 2 sites available. Okay, if I don't do typos, I will see the results. Default, and it gives me 8080 for localhost. So I'm thinking maybe I can reach out the same file for the internal port 8080. So that's what I'm going to do now. I will say HTTP localhost port 8080, and the file name was checkpromo.php, and the parameter will be promo code. I'm so lazy to type, and I always do typos, so I'm just copying and pasting. And let's say AAA, and it doesn't give me an error anymore. That's cool. Let's apply the same technique here. 27, 25, the worst part. 25, 27 for double encoded single code. That's great. It gives me the error promo code not valid. From there, I like to put this URL to SQL map to get the results. So I'm copying URL and sending this to SQL map. So I'm saying SQL map -u for URL, deleting this, and I'm putting a star by saying especially check injection attacks for this promo code parameter. I'm setting up level 3, risk 3. And I will specify the temper script here for double URL encode, which is car double encode. I will just set this up in the background. Yes, please. And let's see what results it will give us. So let me paste some values in here. These are double URL encoded values for some characters that we're going to use. For single code space, this is also for space because this is the URL encode of space and then space again. This is for parentheses and all these stuff. So this is the payload that I'm going to use because from SQL map, I'm not going to go into details because this is the video for SSRF vulnerability, not for SQL injection. But from the SQL map, I learned the database name as FancyDB, and then I got the table name as users. So I wrote this payload for union-based SQL injection union select. I used the concat function for column names, username, and password. I use a delimiter in here, and the second value of 1 doesn't matter. From the database FancyDB, and table should be users. So this is the payload that I'm gonna use. And here, if we send this to repeater again so that we are not losing these values, I'm cutting this and pasting it in here, which will give me the username and password from the users table as Andrea say no to pen tests. So in this video, actually we see that how we can exploit SSRF vulnerability, and this source parameter, which was initially sending us to an external URL, we try to send this to we try to use this to read internal files such as etc passvd. The basic SSRF payload just worked and gave us the content of SSRF file. From there, we tried to read the checkpromo.php file, which was giving us the SQL query, and we see that there is no input validation for promo code parameter, and we realized there is an SQL injection here. In the background, we automatically exported it with SQL map. It's super slow. I don't know why, but this machine is super unstable for me. That's why I got these information for FancyDB as a database name, users as table name, and show you the payload that I used. I will copy and paste this at the end of the video, don't worry. But I think this was a really cool exercise to combine SSRF and SQL injection. I'm not going into details for SQL injection since this is a video for SSRF, but I thought I like to include this for SSRF video. Hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next video. Hi everyone, in this video I will show you how to exploit SSRF vulnerability, which is combined with HTML injection on a VulnHub box called Gemini Inc. first. So I already did some basic enumeration and I realized that the port 80 is open, and let's jump in from there. So there is this directory listing enabled on port 80. I am going to test 2 files, test 2 directory, and it's directly putting me here. So this is an open source project, and it allows me to view the profile and export the profile details into PDF file. When you go to GitHub repository, you will realize that there are default credentials, which is admin1234, and it's not changed in here. I will just use it, admin1234. So we're in as admin. I'm going to my profile page. I don't want to do the basic enumeration because I already done this. I like to show you how to exploit the SSRF vulnerability in here. So when we go to edit profile, in the display name, I can inject the HTML code. For instance, when I say h1 test, let's save this. And let's view the profile in another tab. It will show us as h1. If I change this to h3, you will see the different test changes in here. So we validated that there is an HTML injection in here. So I like to write an iframe. Here iframe source HTTP, my IP address. Let's open a port there. 7777. Let's write it there and close iframe tag. Okay, if I can type. I'm saving this and go into profile again. And I got the request. If I export this page, we will realize which PDF exporter is used in user agent. So when I export the page with export PHP, I realized that there is a PDF converter used which appeared in user agent called VKHTML to PDF. So if you check online for this tool, you will realize that there's an SSRF vulnerability which is specified in the GitHub version history, which allow us to inject iframe. So for this purpose, let me close this one, and under var .html, I wrote a really quick PHP code in here, and I will call this PHP file in my machine to read any internal file in the vulnerable machine. So in order to do that, I will do I will delete this port and we'll say test.php. I also fire up Apache, but just for the sake of the video, I am gonna restart it again, and I will call the parameter file as I specified in here. And from there, I like to read, for instance, etc passvd file. So the rest is the same. I'm saving this. And when I say export PHP, when I refresh the page for export PHP, we are supposed to see etc passvd file content in this box. And after waiting for some time, we see the etc passvd content in here. You can choose read and hide and your iframe comment to make the output more visible, but now you can read internal files. I think this is a really cool box that combines HTML iframe injection with SSRF. Hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next video.
Thank you for watching my video. Stay tuned for more content. Cheers!